To the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM 91.5 FM. Our special in-studio guest is the head coach of the Grambling basketball Tigers. This is Coach Larry Wright. Coach, welcome to the show this week, and how's the season looking this far?
Well, thank you for having me. So far, so good. We lost Breon Rush, we lost Harold Lewis, and we lost Dante Garden. So we really have to replace those three guys. That's a lot of experience you have to replace, but we did well in the exhibition game. We did well last night against Texas College, and the young guys really stepped up. Andrew Presley from Jonesboro, he had a big shot last night to tie the ball game for us, and Andre Radcliffe, he was unbelievable last night, and as I spoke with Coach Spears earlier, we needed every shot from Andre last night.
And I know it's hard to sometimes when you lose a player of the magnitude of Breon Rush, just always say, well, Coach, how do you replace a player of the magnitude of Breon Rush? And can you ever really replace a player of that magnitude?
Well, no, you don't replace him. I often use the comparison of you losing a Bruce Eugene. Mm-hmm. You don't replace that guy. What you try to do is take two or three guys and make up for him. Hopefully, the young guys will step up. A guy by the name of Baker from Peabody, Andre Radcliffe, Andrew Presley. Hopefully, we can take a combination of guys and replace Breon Rush.
Now, Coach, you have a question? Coach?
Yeah, Coach. Welcome aboard, show. Appreciate you coming. One of the things I want you kind of expound to our audience today, just talk about from a philosophy standpoint of the reason why we have to play these certain games, the games that you play off on the road against all the Division I foes, just to get them to understand really what we're trying to do from a basketball nature early on before we get ready for league play.
Well, no doubt about it, Coach. We would like to have every game here at Grambling State University if we could, but that's just not possible because of economics. We have to go out and play the TCUs, the Texas A&M, the Daytons of the world, so, we can enhance our program. I mean, if we just could play here and play these people, we couldn't draw enough people here in Grambling to subsidize our program. So we have to go out and play these big schools to get the best stuff for our kids and give our kids an opportunity to see some other parts of the world and see how they actually do it at the Division I level.
Backtracking a little bit, Coach, going back to last year, we went to the SWAC championship game, SWAC tournament, and we knocked off Mississippi Valley in the first tournament game. Take us back to that and tell us your feelings about that particular game.
Well, in basketball, they say any sport, you have to be good, but you also have to be lucky. Okay, we had probably the best player we thought in the conference last year in Breon Rush. Breon Rush goes down with 6 games remaining, and we have to make the adjustment without Breon Rush. We get to the SWAC tournament, and we win the first game, okay? When we won the first game, we felt like we had a chance at it. But, like you say, you can't replace Breon Rush. In those certain moments in the game when you need that senior experience to step up and get you that big basket, or give you that big leadership. Coach Spears knows what I'm talking about. Give you that big basket of big leadership that you need in that situation. We just didn't have it, and we ran out of gas.
Or better yet, even just provide a decoy to open up some free people for some easy shots, because I'm sure Breon draws 3 or 4 people just
no doubt about it. No doubt about it, and it happened all year long. People use their defense to stop Breon, and when they use their defense to stop Breon, then we got people open. Andre can make the open 3. Harold Lewis get an open dunk. But you have to have that go-to guy in critical moments of the game.
And the thing about it is, like Coach alluded to, what the key term that he said was critical. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about critical aspects, those guys usually rise to the occasion in critical moments, which determines whether or not sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the bottom line is that when you got your go-to guy, when you got a guy that got great experience, as he alluded to, and the big leader on the team, those are the guys that you want in those situations. And a lot of times it's the difference between winning and losing.
Coach Wright, when it comes to picking your players for your team, would you rather have players who are skillful in their positions, who know what they're doing, or talented players who sometimes have problems setting themselves in their place?
Well, I like a self-motivated player, you can coach all you want, but if you don't have a guy that's self-motivated and want to be the best that he can be, then you're in trouble. Case in point, you can have a guy with all the talent that doesn't have the work ethics that's necessary to get better. Then you're better off having a guy that doesn't have as much talent but is willing to work all the time.
You are listening to the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM 91.5 FM. Our special in-studio guest, head coach Larry Wright of the men's basketball program. Coach, we play UAPB in the second round of the championship. Tell us about your thoughts about that particular game.
Well, that particular game, we were right there, as I alluded to earlier. We were right there. We just couldn't make the big play to get us over the hump, the play that Breon normally made for us. And don't take anything away from UAPB. They were a good ball club. We were like playing a mirror. And, what they did, they were real patient, and they know we didn't have a Breon rush. So they wouldn't let us force the tempo that we really wanted. They were patient, and they took good shots the whole ball game. And we just never could get in a situation where we could go ahead. We felt like if we had gone ahead, then we could have went to our game in an offense and did a good job. But we were playing UAPB, and they were well coached, and they did a good job against us.
You lose 2 or 3 people coming into this year. You got some players that some positions you need to replace. Where do you start?
Well, everything starts with Andre Ratliff. There's no doubt about it. He's our point guard. He's our quarterback on the floor. But you say we lost Breon, we lost Harold Lewis, and we lost Dante Gordon. And Breon, we not only lost 25 points, we lost the leadership that he gave us for 4 years. And it's tough to replace leadership. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have that guy out there that want to step up in critical situations, then it does not matter how much time, you have. You have to have that guy that want to step up. And Coach Robinson used to say this, there's guys that can play when the weather is good. But, you want those guys that can play when there's a little cloud and it's stormy outside. So Breon was one of those guys. He stepped up and he did that. But we've had some positive feedback in practice from our young guys. And I think the big kid from Atlanta, as you saw last night, he never really played. But he had the opportunity to play last night. He had 8 rebounds. That's positive for us. And we've never had a guy in here 6'8" since I've been here. So we're going to put him out there, and we're going to see what he can do.
Well, the thing is, Coach, you're absolutely correct about the leadership aspect, but the leadership also carries over to the times when you need a guy to do the right thing and things of that nature. That guy, Breon Rusher, those kind of guys that's going to be around. But I also agree with you. I thought the point guard last night took over the ball game, did an outstanding job, and showed great leadership. And at the end, the kid from Jonesboro put a dagger in their heart. So it shows a whole lot of promise with respect to being able to make baskets in crucial situations. That was one of those situations, and I was really elated about seeing a freshman make that shot.
Well, no doubt about it. And as you say, Andre, he really stepped up. And he wants the ball in those situations. He even wanted it when Breon was here. And it's good to have 1 or 2 guys like that. But, as we said earlier, when you got a guy who can score the basketball, the defense is going to make the adjustment on him. And as Coach said, they left Presley open last night, and he shot it like he knew what he was doing. And we were happy to see him in that situation. Hopefully later on what happened last night will benefit us down the road.
And I think that's going back to what we said about Breon. If it wasn't for the fact that Andre was killing him with the jumper, then Presley might not have been that wide open to hit that shot.
Oh, it's no doubt about it. You got to have a go-to guy, regardless of what the sport may be. You got to have, and I know Coach Spears will agree with this. You got to have a guy you believe that can get it done. And last night, Andre was a guy that we believe could get it done, and we opened the court for him and let him use his one-on-one abilities. And when they made that adjustment, they left Presley wide open at the free throw line.
Now, I had a chance to watch the exhibition game that we played the other day, and I was impressed with was it Baker?
Baker,
number 32.
Yeah, Kendrick Baker.
I mean, he was so smooth with the jumper, real smooth. He seemed to have a command of the floor, and it seemed to be when I was watching the game, seemed to be the catalyst between everybody. He had enough experience because he's a transfer
college kid.
Yeah, so he had enough experience, this being going into his third season of playing college basketball, to kind of bridge the gap between the young players and players that have been there a while.
There's no doubt about it. And we feel like with Andre Ratliff and Kendrick Baker, we could have one of the best backcourts in the conference. But you need time for them to gel together, and that is what practice is all about. But Kendrick can really shoot the basketball. He's not the athlete that Breon Rush is, because Breon had a lot of athletic ability. But he has the fundamentals, and if you're not careful, when it's all said and done, he'll have you 20 points.
Did he look at a 4-point play last night?
Yeah, down the stretch, we had to have it. And he went in and made a 3-point play and stepped up and made the free throw, and that enabled us to get in our defense.
You're listening to the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM 91.5 FM. Our special in-studio guest is Coach Larry Wright of the Grambling men's basketball program. If you have a question for Coach Wright, please sure and give us a call at 318-274-4487. When we talk about replacement players, take us the players that you acquired. Tell us a bit about the players that you acquired in the offseason.
Well, when we lost Breon, we knew we had to have a guy that could get us 20 points potentially every night. So we went out and got a junior college kid and Kendrick Baker. We lost Harold Lewis, who was probably the most athletic player in the conference last year. We wanted to simulate that, so we went out and got Presley from Jonesboro. We got another kid, Terrence Nixon, from Birmingham, Alabama. So we lost Dante Garden, who was a tough defensive player, strong body. So we went out and got a kid from Alabama to replace him also. So we feel like we replaced them. But we had some holdover guys, 6 or 7 holdover guys that we feel like played enough last year that gives us the experience to allow these kids to grow up. Okay, and by SWAC time, hopefully that these kids will have grown up and we'll be ready to play.
Do you have any other players? I noticed with 21, the little point guard, and I forgot his number, 22? Is that the Knicks?
Emmanuel Callaway from Ringo, local kid, raw talent, but wants to be good and works extremely hard in practice. And before it's over, he's going to get it going. We feel like those guys, maybe by the time the SWAC start, they will have gotten their feet wet enough and they'll be ready to play. Because college basketball is not easy. And I want to mention this. A lot of people think because you're playing SWAC basketball that you're not playing good basketball. Bad decision. Because anybody can beat you at any time. As the great Willis Reed came to practice the other day, and he talked to the guys about it's not where you play, it's if you can play. It does not matter where you go. If you can play, they will find you. And he told them about the history of Grambling State University basketball, and the kids were really excited to see the legend walk in the gym and speak to them.
You are listening to the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM 91.5. When we come back, more with Coach Wright, and we're taking your calls at 318-274-4487. We'd like to thank all the people listening on the internet from across the country. Be sure to give us a call. Right back with more of the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM.
Back to 91.5 KGRM, your black and gold station. This is Way Back Wednesday. This is the Melvin Spears Show. We're in studio with the men's basketball coach, Coach Larry Wright. Of course, we have Coach Melvin Spears here. I'm Travis Mills along with Ray Higgins.
And Coach, one of the things that I just want to expound to our listeners today is that one of the things that you get here at Grambling State University that you can't get anywhere in America is the fact that you have the opportunity day in and day out to see a real, true legend, guys that are Hall of Famers. The one thing about the basketball team and all the folks, all the different teams that we have around here, our basketball team sometimes needs to understand that not only do we have a coach that won a championship ring in the NBA and a number of other SWAC titles and a Hall of Famer here at our place, but to go along with it, when you think about the Willis Reeds, when you think about the Herschel West, When you think about Bob Hopkins, we got two guys that works over in our recreation department over there. Coach Howard Willis and Rick Tippett, who was just outstanding here to go along with Charles Hartnett, James Jones, and then one of the guys that work over in our health and physical education department, Aaron James, was some of the best basketball players, not in the conference. I'm talking about the best basketball players in the world. So certainly when you think about coming to Grambling State University, the one thing that we got to get beyond is the fact that you get a true opportunity to see legends on a regular basis and coached by Hall of Famers. And right now, the football program and the basketball program have a group of Hall of Famers, even with, when you think about Kenny Sykes, is one of the best shooters to ever come here. So you got outstanding players throughout. So I just wanted to make that point, Coach, that we got a rich history, not only in football, we got an outstanding history in basketball, and it starts with no other than Fred Hobbs, and that alludes to my question. When you talk about the new basketball arena, Coach, it can't be, from my perspective now, and I'm talking, coming to Grambling since 1968, seeing Coach Hobbs and seeing all the ones that have participated. When you talk about a new facility, I can't think about but one guy, and it's Fred Hobbs. So what's your views on that, Coach?
Well, there's no doubt about it, Coach Spears. You hit the nail on the head. When you're talking about legends in this state, Fred Hobbs' name comes up. He's probably the winningest men's basketball coach in the state. He has the only national championship in men's basketball in the state. Coach Hobbs has done so much for this community and this state of Louisiana. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer that the new building be named after Coach Hobbs. And what people don't realize about Coach Hobbs, not only was he a great coach, Coach Hobbs was a great athlete. Coach Hobbs was a three-sports guy here at Grambling State University: football, basketball, and baseball, and captained all three sports. So we're talking about a legend in his own right, and Fred Hobbs. And boy, I tell you, if one day we could look up on that building and see Fred Hobbs' name, I think that the state of Louisiana would receive great credit for naming that building after an outstanding man.
But, Coach, the thing I always call them the three musketeers when you think about Coach Eddie Robinson, who really coached Coach Hobbs, and Coach Hobbs that coached with him in baseball, basketball, and all the things that Coach Rob did here. And then you got R.W.E. Jones, who really had more vision than most folks here to follow in behind an outstanding individual and our founder in Adams. So when you think about our baseball arena as well, you got to think about R.W.E. Jones at Wilbur Ellis Field. So we got great history here. We just got to continue to take care of the folks that are basically put in the time. And anytime a guy spent 40-odd years doing this, Coach Rob coached 57 years, and I call him old lefty at times, and Coach Hobbs was here right by his side. So you talking 50-odd some years here doing the same, at the same capacity. Coach Ellis spent 43 years, and then to have the opportunity to be tutelage and be a mentor, be mentored by R.W. Jones, I just think it's at a whole nother level, and that's why every time I talk about Grambling, I'm just excited about it, and just want folks to understand that this place is so special that a lot of times we forget. I'm talking about folks that have come to Grambling. We forget how great we really are because of all the other things that goes around America. But just cherish what you got, and certainly it matches up with the Notre Dames, USCs, and anybody in the world.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Coach. And I tell people everywhere I go, it's Grambling, then it's everybody else. As far as I'm concerned, you talk about Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones, you talk about Wilbur Ellis. These guys, between them, have over 2,000 victories. And we have a baseball complex that does not have a name. And both of those guys coached at Grambling State University. We should name the facility after them. Grambling is very special, as Coach said. When he started naming the great players that have played here, hey, I got goosebumps. I got pumped up. And you have to really know about Grambling. You have to be about Grambling. You have to understand Grambling to understand what Coach Spears has just said. And my son, who played here, played center for Coach Spears and Coach Williams here. And he used to often say to me, Dad, people that don't know about Grambling can't talk about Grambling. You have to really know these things Coach Spears are talking about to really understand the tradition and the legacy of this great institution. It's Grambling when it comes to Larry Wright. and then it's all the other universities.
You're listening to the Melvin Spears Show with our special in-studio guest, Larry Wright. Coach, speaking of the facility, how's it looking?
Well, the facility is coming along. We should be in it in a month. And as I said to Miss Hobdy the other day, when I look at the facility, I know Coach Hobdy is watching from heaven. And I just hope that facility is named after Coach Hobdy. I mean, we've been waiting on this a long time. And trust me, I still love the old facilities because it's been some great athletes that has come through there, and I'll never forget that. But, you know, when we're dealing with our youngsters today, they want to play in a top facility, and you can't blame them. And it's long overdue that we will get a new facility here at Grambling State University.
Coach, how many people have you seen? How many people the new facility seats?
I think it seats 6,500 for basketball. And I think that's more than enough here at Grambling State University. And if they want to have some other concert or whatever in there, I think you get up to 8,500.
Well, Coach, you know, having the opportunity to be coached by the legendary Fred D. Hobby, but not only by Fred D. Hobby, I also think that I call him Roddy Piper, who's one of my favorite guys, and Bob Piper, who coached you in high school, who's an outstanding player here as well. He's one of the guys that was on that national championship team for Coach Hobby. What is your to give us a story of one of your greatest experiences with Fred D. Hobby?
Well, I was in the 10th grade and playing at Richwood High School in Monroe, Louisiana, and Coach Hobby came to one of our practices, Coach, and he looked at me for about 10 minutes, and he told me, he said, "You will be my starting point guard in 1973. That's the type vision that he had as a coach and as a talent evaluator. And I said, "Coach, what do you mean? I'm 5'10", I'm 135 pounds. Coach Hobby said, "Don't worry about that. You can get it in the basket." He said, "You'll be my starting point guard in 1973. And when he told me that, and when I went to visit all these other school coaches, nobody told me that I would be a starting point guard, but Coach Hobby did. And when the other recruiters came after my senior year, I could have gone anywhere in the country. But I remember what Coach Hobby told me. He said, "You'll be my starting point guard." And when he asked me to sign with Grambling, hey, it was only one school, Grambling State University.
For some of the people who might not know some of the other schools, tell us about some of the other schools that were recruiting you at the time.
Oh, when I came out of school, UCLA, USC, LSU, all the top schools in the nation were recruiting me. But I had played in high school for Herschel West, probably the greatest player in the history of Grambling, for Robert Piper, who also played for Coach Hobby. And all they told me about was Grambling State University. I didn't know anything else, nor did I care to know anything. I went and visit all those other schools, but it was all about Grambling State University. And people don't realize how special this institution really is. You know, not only athletically, but you take a Fred Hobby. You know, they talked about, they wanted you to be the best in athletics, but they wanted you to graduate from Grambling State University. The great Eddie Robinson, Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones, they wanted you to get a degree. And at the end of the day, all the guys that were recruited with me graduated from Grambling State University.
Well, that's the one thing that is synonymous throughout all the 300-odd-some guys that have participated in football. When you talk about the guys that have come in, one other point that I want to make too, you know, he talked about Herschel West and he talked about Robert Piper. Both of those guys were on the national championship team that were outstanding, had an outstanding mentor in Fred D. Hobby. And so certainly our task as coaches right now is not really to be those guys, but our foundation has been set. If you follow the blueprint and do the things that we can do to make certain that first and foremost they get an outstanding education, they come here and understand the great legacy and the history of this institution, certainly you're going to be successful anywhere in America because the best is the best. And I'm telling you, this is a premier institution. And when you think about the experience that you get, it's just not a basketball game, it's just not a football game, it's the experience that you get at Grambling State University.
You're listening to 91.5 KGRM, your black and gold station. Coach, just expound for a minute about how you help the athletes off the court, like how you take care of them outside of the basketball.
Well, you know, most of these kids, this is their first time away from home, especially your freshman kids. When they enroll in your institution, the parents trust them to you. They not only trust them to you as an athlete, but as academia. So what you have to do, what we try to do in basketball, we try to monitor our kids bi-weekly in the classroom. Okay? If you do that, we feel like we don't allow them to get behind. Because if they get too far behind, you're in trouble. So we try to monitor our kids bi-weekly. We huddle up. We meet every night after practice. And we talk about basketball. We talk about class. But then we also ask them, are you having any problems? If you're having any problems, make sure that, you know, you don't have to say it now. You can come to my office in private and say it. Because we have resources here on campus. If you're having some problems that we can't deal with as coaches, we can have those people deal with it. And they deal with them better than we do. Some things we can handle, but we can't handle everything. If some personal problems they don't want to talk to us about, they might want to see a counselor about it. Then the counselor come and talk to myself or Coach Spears or some of the coaches, and we get to the root of the problem.
Well, the main thing is also, too, I think our faculty do an outstanding job. You know, even though we got these vehicles in place where we check them bi-weekly, where we check them to find out what their progress reports are, but we have an outstanding faculty. Just if our guys doesn't show up at class, our faculty is going to call and ask where these individuals are, and that's the significance of coming to a place like Grambling. You can only get that at Grambling, and I really appreciate the village raising these student athletes, and they've done an outstanding job academically, but we got to consistently get them to understand that in order for you to be outstanding, in order for you to be great, you got to put something in, and that's what Coach Wright is talking about. You got a bunch of guys that have outstanding athletic ability, but it takes more than just ability, because the good Lord afforded you that opportunity, and you got to do a little work to get yourself to the next level, and that's really what it's all about, work.
A lot of people don't understand that Grambling is a family. A lot of people on the outside, a lot of people who are looking down, this is a family. Once you put that G on, everybody's looking at you. Everybody is taking care of you. If you're an athlete, they want to make sure you're in class, you're going to sleep on time, you're eating right. Even if you're a regular student, they want to make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. Just expound on that family that is Grambling.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He mentioned the great Fred Hobbs earlier. He mentioned Robert Piper earlier. When you're talking about a family, those guys did not only deal with just athletes. They dealt with the total student body. And as a player, as I watched that and returning back as a coach, you know, I recall all the things that I saw Fred Hobbs do, not for the athletes, but for the non-athletes that would hang around his office. You know, he touched so many lives. So now, if I just come back here and I just deal with only athletes, then I would not be doing my job. If a kid come in, if he's having a problem, then I don't care what the problem is. He don't have to be my athlete. He can be a regular student. He don't have to be a basketball player. He can be a football player. He can be a track star. Okay, he can just be the regular kid on campus. If he come to you as an adult for help, then you need to reach out to him and do everything you can to help him.
And I think, Coach, that's what makes Grambling so special, because of the mentality, because of the things that have been bred in for years and years by all those great individuals, and certainly is carrying over, and those are the things that we're going to continue to do to make sure that all our young people have a true opportunity to be successful and get ready for corporate America and go and be outstanding citizens, because as you know, the percentage of making it to a professional sports is slim and none. Is really in that less than 1 percentile. So you got to be outstanding, you got to work hard, and then the bottom line, like Coach said, that if you can play, they'll find you.
Coach, you getting ready to hit the road for a road trip. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're getting ready to hit the road, and you know, the road is weary. But what we try to do, we're going to the University of Houston first. We'll start off there. And we try to piggyback on what happened last night. We were in a closed ball game. In these situations, we try not to deal with the name, the University of Houston. Okay, we try to play the type basketball that we want to play. Get better for our conference. Win, lose, or draw, we tell the guys to give us your personal best each and every time out. If you give us your personal best, then as coaches, as a university, we can live with that. But if you don't give us your personal best, then that's not Grambling like. So we ask for the personal best in these situations, and we'll be on the road until December. and we're dealing with young kids, so we have to really be there for them, because this is a shock to them, what they're getting ready to go through. But as coaches, we have to continue to ask them to be tough, both mentally and physically, and we'll get it done.
Coach, we'd like to thank you for stopping by, and good luck on the road. Congratulations on your win last night, and good luck on the road, and we look forward to seeing you back when you come back to Grambling and play here.
Well, I'd like to thank Coach Spears and yourself for having me here, and I think this is a great thing that you all are doing.
Back with more of the Melvin Spears Show, and our athletic director, Troy Matthew, coming up after the break. We're back with more of the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM 91.5 FM. We're happy to have our athletic director, Troy Matthew, to join us for the remainder of the show. We wanted to pick up where we left off last time. We kind of ran out of time, and I know a lot of people had a lot of questions for Troy, but let's first start off about the Bayou Classic ticket situation. I know this is going to be a hot topic in the next couple of weeks. Tell us a little bit about the Bayou Classic ticket situation.
Okay, thanks for having me on again today. Tickets are still available. You can purchase them at the Grambling State Ticket Office on Tuesdays and Thursdays up until 7 o'clock in the evening. The office is open. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the office is open until 4 o'clock. Tickets will be sold until Tuesday, November 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. That's the last time you can buy them on campus. Ticket prices range from the high end of $46 down to a low of $25. For ticket information, you can call 318-274-2629 or 274-4465. That's the ticket information. Tickets are still available. Don't believe anybody when they tell you it's sold out.
Okay, Troy, thanks for that information. Let's backtrack a little bit. You told us about where you're from and things of that nature on the last show. Tell us how it feels to have a coach that you recruited, brought in, go to the NCAA tournament in soccer.
Well, it's a good feeling. I touched upon it briefly the other day. When your first hire that you make comes in and wins the SWAC and is undefeated in the SWAC, and then goes and represents your university well on the NCAA stage on someone's home field. I mean, it's a good feeling. It was very rewarding, I know, for me personally and professionally, and I know it was very satisfying for Coach Crawley as she saw the girls achieve a goal that they set at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, very rewarding. She went through a tough SWAC schedule where not all of the games were close, but some of the games she was not favored going in, the Alabama A&M and maybe even the Mississippi Valley game, who were the defending champions. And her girls withstood the challenges that they faced, and I know last night she was asking me if I could find the ring sizer that Coach Spears and his staff used last year, because the SWAC office is providing them with a set number of rings, so the girls are real fired up about designing those rings.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Now, there are I know people have lots of ideas, lots of questions, and you currently on GSUTigers.com have a section on that website, the new athletic website that says Ask the AD. Can you give us some of the questions some of the questions that you can give?
The G-rated versions?
The G-rated versions of the questions you can give about things in general that having to do with fundraising or whatever.
Well, most of the questions we're getting, believe it or not, it's proven to be a good recruiting tool for the university. We're getting just regular students that are going on the site asking how can they get information about scholarships. We're getting, a basketball player from Kuwait emailed me trying to get in touch with Coach Wright. He put an attachment where we could see him play basketball. Well, when we opened up the attachment, he was shooting and he had a pretty nice jump shot, but he was playing by himself, looked like on a driveway. So it's kind of hard to evaluate him in that setting. But we're getting all sorts of contact. We're getting folks who are questioning. Well, some folks have suggested, and asked, when will the site be fully complete? And for all of the listeners out there, as you visit GSUTigers.com, we want you to know it's at a starting point right now. It is a work in progress where we hope over the next 2 to 3 months that any information relating not only to athletics, but a lot of general university information you can go to the site and get. Our sports information department, led by Ryan McGinty, is working every spare moment that they have in adding and uploading information to the site. So if you go to a sport like baseball, I can tell you right now, most of the player bio information is not loaded yet. but he's working on it every day. And just be patient with us as we try to make this site not only, maybe the best site in the SWAC, but one of the best in the country as it relates to information about our university and our athletic department. But it's the questions have ranged. I mean, we get questions questioning coaching moves. We get just mostly they've been general questions, but a lot of them have been recruiting related. We get folks looking for jobs. Just runs the gamut, and it's been, it's something that if I don't check it in one day, I mean, I've been averaging probably about 35 to 40 emails a day. So if like this past weekend when I went with the soccer team, I didn't have access to a computer with internet service. So I came back to a slew of them on Monday, and we're trying to catch up. But it's been a good tool for us so far.
Well, and you mentioned earlier about the fact that recruits are contacting you via the site, which gives you more than the average person, because if you have them contacting you, then you're going out contacting the ones you've already been contacted. Then it helps. It almost like doubles up your efforts in helping recruit better players and people coming to you and wanting to play for you.
Right. We're having students, a lot of baseball contacts. Some volleyball girls have contacted us. How do I get in touch with your coach? How can I get evaluated? What do you have to do to get an athletic scholarship? And even if it's a rare opportunity that we find a great student athlete through this, if we find one, it'll be better than none. So we're turning over every lead to all of our head coaches. What I'm doing is taking those emails and forwarding them to the appropriate coach and pretty much demanding that they respond to those students in a timely fashion.
You're listening to the Melvin Spears Show. Special in-studio guest, Troy Matthew, AD for Grambling State University. Troy, talk about some of the other hires. You have the baseball, softball coaches that you've hired. Talk a little bit about those guys.
Yes, I'll start with baseball. Barrett Ray comes to us from Southern University, where he was the lead assistant for about the last 7 to 8 years, and I think in that time Southern won the SWAC championship 5 of 7 years. Coach was on the staff of Roger Kadar, a legendary baseball coach who has the Southern program at a high level. And as we look to filling that job and the softball job, we tried to say, if we can find people who have been around success, they have a chance of being successful when they get here. If you've not been affiliated with winning at any level, it's pretty hard to come in here and expect to win. And Barrett Ray brings championship level experience as a pitching coach. He coached all of the pitchers. He was the lead recruiter for Coach Kadar. Had a tremendous hand in recruiting all the great talent that's come through that program. Instantaneously, he brought credibility from a recruiting standpoint as he stepped in, because he's familiar with the SWAC. And we welcome baseball players of all ethnicities, but when a lot of your African American males in SWAC country have thought about baseball in recent years, they consider Southern and Prairie View. And my friends in the conference are telling me now it's a 3-horse race where Grambling is going to get serious consideration, because Coach Ray is well connected and is tapped into recruiting circles as far as away as California, where there's a lot of talent to come here and help our program. But I think he's an outstanding hire. We'll see as the season plays out. And with all of the new coaches, you can't expect miracles. I think we won 6 baseball games last year. The only thing we've asked Coach Ray is to come in and build us a championship-level program. Programs withstand the test of time. They're not good one year and then terrible the next 2 years. Programs year in and year out play at a high level. We're asking him to build it the right way. He brought in tremendous recruits. I think he has several kids who signed national letters of intent over the past week, and I think he's got 3 more fixing to sign. On the softball front, we hired a gentleman also from Southern University, Wilbert Early, and already I know to the listeners out there who are questioning, the 2 Southern University hires, I know that's kind of mixing oil and water, because we did get some calls from folks who said, "What's up?" And I said, well, I was hired to be the AD, and I was asked to put together the best staff that we could find. And as I looked at the pool of candidates for the softball job, one candidate rose above the pack, and it was Wilbert Early. He had been, again, the lead recruiter. He had a hand in every facet of the Southern program. They've won several SWAC championships. The most detailed and organized guy you'll ever meet, Coach Early. He has one thing they were telling me in the process of hiring him. I found out he has an index card on every student that plays in the SWAC. So when a left-handed hitter comes to the plate for Mississippi Valley in a game, Coach Early pulls out this index card. He already knows she likes hitting it to the first baseline. She likes bunting or whatever. very organized. I think he already has, I don't know, 5 to 6 recruits that signed national letters of intent. I know he had about 15 young ladies in during homecoming week, and he's, I call it closing the deal with many of those student athletes, and just about everyone that he brought in, not only are they qualifying for athletic aid, but most of them also are qualifying for academic scholarships. So I think you'll see the quality of our softball program improve rapidly over the coming years. Again, it's not a magical thing when you take a program. I think they went 3-53 last year. All I ask Coach Early, please win more than 3 ball games, because I don't know if my heart can withstand that many losses. And also, we think our student athletes deserve to be in more contests and have a competitive chance in those ball games. So just evaluate them over a period of time, as I will be doing, as to the quality that they're rolling out on a yearly basis.
We've got the new hyper building sports complex about to open. Is there any idea of a particular date when that's set to open?
The last dates I've heard from the folks in our facilities division is sometimes in January. We're hopeful and keeping our fingers crossed that the Southern game, which is I think like on January 5th or 6th, will be able to be played in a new facility, and what better opponent to break that facility in than against those Jaguars. And hopefully if it doesn't make that date, we have a nationally televised game, I think, on the 29th of January against either Texas Southern or Mississippi Valley, that will be on ESPNU, and I'd sure like to be in there by then from a lighting standpoint, because when you go to national televised broadcast, I'm sure we've broadcast some games before at the Memorial Gym, but I'm not sure if they had to rent lights or not, because the lighting is not up to college level specs and national TV level specs. So hopefully we'll be in there by that game, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed on the Southern game.
Okay, people think that there's just, you can just build it, open it right after it's done. It takes a little time. There's a lot of things that people see the outside and say, oh, it's finished, but they don't know that it's more than just what it looks like on the outside.
Well, the building is probably 99+% complete. If you walked in an untrained eye would think it is complete. The floor is gorgeous. The 4-sided video replay screen is something that most of your major universities have, and we now have it. It's a showcase arena. If you can't recruit students to get excited about playing in that facility, then you got to check who are your recruiters. It's going to be a point of light for this entire university, not only for our athletic competitions, but for our physical education and health students, our dance students who will get a chance to go to class in there. It'll be used for graduations, all sorts of, I'm sure, concerts. Could even host some little mini conventions in there, the way the building is so flexible. But it is pretty much done. The university is right now just working with the contractor to make sure that it's fully done, fully complete, so that we don't have lingering problems over the coming years because we rushed them. So we're just trying to make sure it gets right. And one thing I want to clarify, I heard from the architect, Mr. Ed Alfred, was that I think there was maybe $4 to $5 million added on to the project from when it was initially conceived. And the initial target date, I think, of July or something was delayed, and that's why we're still waiting. But there was several $1 million worth of additions to the complex, and that's one of the reasons it's been delayed.
Well, I understand. I know people want to get in there for graduation and things like that. But I was telling a young man that this building is like 30 years in the making. So if you don't happen to have your graduation in this year, think about the bigger picture, which is being able to come back, not seeing leaky roofs, not seeing bathrooms and a lot of problems, making sure it's completely done, and it's up to the university to make sure that those things are done, so that way 30 years from now it'll still be in good condition, and hopefully we won't have to be we can move on and have some other things, but it won't be to the point where we'll be looking to replace it 5 years from now as opposed to 30 years from now.
Well, even worse is you get in, if you rush the contractor and you don't get the building fully complete, you look up and your warranty starts on all of the items in the building, and you'll be paying for things out of pocket that should have been covered under warranty. So we're just trying to make sure that we are very thorough before we release the contractors.
Well, the sign outside of Grambling State as you're entering the university says, make sure that you tell something good about GSU. Is there something good that you can tell the listeners about GSU right now?
Ooh, you hit me from left field there. Yes, that Grambling State University is an outstanding place to not only come and compete athletically if you're a prospective student athlete, but it's a chance for you to get an outstanding education. And one of the things I learned from coming to Gramblin's homecoming last week was you make lifelong friends here, and it's not just the education, it's not just the participation in the activities, it's friendships for life that you will make if you come and be a part of what's going on at the university.
Well, coming up on next week's show, I'd like to thank Troy Matthews for joining us this week, and hopefully we can get him back in the next couple of weeks to continue things, because there's so much that the AD does and a lot of questions that the people have. Coming up on next week's show, we're going to try to have Coach Rusty Ponton in, along with the entire Bayou Classic recap. We're going to talk about history. We're going to talk about scores, everything that goes on with the Bayou Classic, and have some special guests coming in to manhandle that. We'd like to thank Coach Spears, we'd like to thank Travis Mills, along with Coach Wright and Troy Matthews for joining us on this week's show. Next week, 12 o'clock Wednesday, on the Melvin Spears Show on KGRM 91.5 FM.